Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln penny coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. If you're a coin enthusiast, a history buff, or someone who just loves the thrill of discovering value in unexpected places, you're in for a real treat today. We're about to dive deep into the story of a tiny piece of copper that has captured the attention of collectors around the world. That's right, we're talking about the 1960 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary coin you've seen 1,000 times. But as you'll soon find out, this little cent carries a whole lot more than just face value. So grab your magnifying glass, hold on to your coin jar, and let's explore what makes the 1960 Lincoln penny one of the most talked about coins in the world of numismatics. Let's go back to the year 1960, the time of change, innovation, and rising tensions in the Cold War era. Dwight D. Eisenhower was the president, Elvis Presley ruled the music charts, and American pride was reflected in every detail of life, including its currency. The Lincoln cent had already become an iconic symbol in U.S. coinage. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. And by 1960, it had firmly established itself as a patriotic staple in every American's pocket. But the 1960 Lincoln penny isn't just another year in a long series. This particular year is special for more than one reason. In fact, something unusual happened during its production, something that made coin collectors take notice. In 1960, the U.S. Mint released two different versions of the penny, one with a small date and another with a large date. Both types were released from the Philadelphia and Denver mints, which means there are actually four different 1960 pennies to look out for: a 1960 small date, 1960 large date, 1960D small date, 1960D large date. The differences between the small and large date are subtle, but to collectors, they make all the difference in the world. On the small date version, the digits in the date, especially the 6 and the 0, appear thinner and are more closely spaced. The large date version, in contrast, features wider and bolder numbers. Most people would never notice these variations unless they were looking very closely. But for collectors, these small changes opened up a world of opportunity. Now here's where things get really exciting. Some rare 1960 Lincoln pennies, especially those with specific mint errors, double dies, or those in pristine uncirculated condition, have been sold at astonishing prices. Mint errors are basically mistakes that occurred during the coin's production. These might include misaligned strikes, double impressions, or imperfections in the die itself. These types of errors are extremely rare, and when they happen to a coin as iconic as the Lincoln penny, collectors go wild. But even beyond the mint errors, what makes the 1960 penny so fascinating is how condition plays such a critical role in its value. Most pennies from this year were heavily circulated. They were used in everyday transactions, jingled around in pockets and purses, and ended up worn and scratched. Finding one in mint state, especially graded MS65 or higher, is quite rare. If you're lucky enough to find one of the small date 1960D pennies with a mint error, or better yet, one that has never been circulated and is preserved in near perfect condition, you could be holding on to something truly extraordinary. Imagine flipping through your old coin jar or inherited coin collection and spotting a 1960 penny. You might think it's just another coin, but that's where the magic lies. That simple, worn-down penny could be one of the rare few that collectors are desperately searching for. It's amazing how a coin that once bought a piece of candy could now be worth enough to buy a house, a car, or fund a child's education. Yes, it's true. One of these humble 1-cent coins, if it meets the right criteria, particularly a rare small-date Denver mint error in mint condition, was sold at auction for an astonishing $95,000. That's right. $95,000. For a penny, it just goes to show that treasure doesn't always come in the form of gold bars or diamond rings. Sometimes, it's sitting right there in your coin jar, waiting to be discovered. So what can you do? Start by checking your own change. Look closely at the 1960 Lincoln pennies you might have, especially if they bear the small date and a D mint mark. Check the condition. If you think you found something special, consider having it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. The difference between an old coin and a rare treasure is just a little bit of knowledge and the right eyes to see it. Top 2. We're diving into the world of copper coins to explore one of the most surprising finds in American coinage, the 1966 Lincoln penny. You've probably seen thousands of pennies in your lifetime. Most of us walk right past them on the sidewalk, drop them into a tip jar, or stash them away in a change drawer. But what if I told you that one ordinary looking penny from 1966 might be hiding something extraordinary? What if I told you that one small copper coin could be worth far more than you'd ever expect? Before we talk value, let's travel back in time and understand what made 1966 such a unique year in American coinage. The mid-1960s were a turbulent and transformative time in the United States. The country was in the midst of the Vietnam War, civil rights movements were sweeping across the nation, and American society was undergoing deep and rapid changes. These historical events weren't just shaping headlines, they were influencing the U.S. Mint and its coin production as well. In 1965, the U.S. Mint temporarily suspended mint marks on coins due to the coin shortage caused by the rising value of silver. This policy continued into 1966. That's why, unlike many other Lincoln cents, you won't find a little D4 Denver or S4 San Francisco on most coins from this era. All coins struck in 1966 were made without mint marks, one of several unique characteristics that set them apart from other years, but let's talk about the design. The obverse side, or front, of the coin features the familiar and dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln. This design was created by Victor David Brenner in 1909, and it's become one of the most enduring images in U.S. coinage. Lincoln's portrait faces right, wearing a calm yet resolute expression, symbolizing leadership and integrity. The word liberty appears to the left, and the year 1966 is stamped on the right. Turn the coin over, and you'll find the reverse side featuring the Lincoln Memorial, an image that first appeared on pennies starting in 1959. If you look closely, you can even make out the tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. That's right, the Lincoln penny actually contains two images of Lincoln, one on the front and one on the back, making it the only U.S. coin with that distinction. So, what makes the 1966 Lincoln penny so special? After all, hundreds of millions of them were minted. The answer lies in the details, and in a few rare exceptions that turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. First, condition is everything. Most 1966 pennies have been heavily circulated. They've passed through countless hands, sat in dusty jars, and clinked around in cash registers for decades. That means finding one in mint state, especially in grades MS65 or higher, is quite rare. Collectors go wild for coins in pristine condition, where every letter and line is crisp and untouched, but beyond condition, there's something even more exciting: mint errors. During the minting process, accidents can happen. These include double die strikes, where the image is stamped twice slightly off-center strikes, where part of the coin's design is missing, or planchet errors, where the metal blank used was flawed or improperly formed. These kinds of errors were not common in 1966, but a few managed to slip through. And when these rare flawed coins appear in high-grade condition, they are worth serious money. In fact, some versions of the 1966 Lincoln penny with errors are among the most sought-after Lincoln cents of the decade. But here's the thing: not all the valuable 1966 pennies are flawed. Some are simply incredibly well preserved. A coin that has been protected from wear, kept in a collector's album, or even forgotten in a roll since the day it was minted can command high prices at auction. Now you're probably wondering, how much could a 1966 penny really be worth? Well, imagine digging through your childhood coin collection or finding a dusty old jar in your grandparents' attic. You pull out a penny, give it a glance, and see the date, 1966. You flip it in your fingers, and it gleams with that unmistakable copper glow. No scratches, no dings, just a beautifully preserved coin from over half a century ago. You decide to have it graded. It comes back MS67. Even better, it has a rare die alignment error that sets it apart from the rest. Suddenly, you're not just holding an old coin, you're holding something truly remarkable. You bring it to auction, and the bids keep climbing, and now, the moment you've been waiting for. One of these stunningly rare 1966 Lincoln pennies, featuring a unique mint error and in immaculate condition, was sold for a breathtaking sum of $88,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny. Worth $88,000. It's stories like these that remind us why coin collecting is so much more than a hobby. It's history. It's art. It's treasure hunting. And sometimes, it's life-changing. So if you have a 1966 penny lying around, take a closer look. It might just be the key to unlocking a fortune. Top 3. Because buried among the billions of Lincoln pennies minted over the years, there are a few that are far more than pocket change. In fact, there's one special coin from 1971 that has collectors, investors, and historians buzzing. And if you happen to have this tiny copper treasure tucked away in your drawer, you might be holding onto something worth far more than its face value. Let's take a journey into the world of the 1971 Lincoln penny, a coin you've probably seen before, but one you'll never look at the same way again. Now let's rewind time to the year 1971. Richard Nixon was president. Gasoline was just 36 cents a gallon. The microprocessor had just been invented, and America was riding the wave of post-space race optimism. But in the middle of all this innovation and excitement, something small, very small, was quietly rolling out of the Denver Mint. That small object was the Lincoln penny. Like every year since 1909, the penny in 1971 featured the face of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, or the front. This classic portrait by Victor David Brenner had already become one of the most iconic images in American coinage. To the left of Lincoln's profile is the word liberty. Above his head reads the motto, "In God We Trust," and to the right is the date 1971, along with a tiny D mint mark, standing for the Denver Mint, which produced billions of pennies that year. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. But here's the thing, although the design remained consistent, not all pennies were created equal. Some 1971 Lincoln cents were born with subtle differences, flaws, or characteristics that transformed them from everyday change into rare collectibles worth thousands. So what exactly makes some of these coins so valuable? Let's start with condition. Most 1971 pennies were used in everyday transactions. They've been dropped, scraped, and tossed around for over 50 years. So finding one in perfect, uncirculated condition, especially one graded mint state 65 or higher, is rare. These high-grade coins are already worth far more than 1 cent to collectors, but then come the real standouts, the mint error coins. Every now and then, something goes wrong in the minting process. A coin might be struck twice, or it might be off-center. Sometimes the die used to strike the coin has a defect, or the metal blank, called a planchet, is flawed. These accidents are rare, and when they happen, they produce coins that are literally one of a kind. One of the most famous types of mint errors seen in some 1971 Lincoln pennies is the double die obverse, a condition where the details on the front of the coin, like the date or the lettering, appear to be stamped twice. These doubling effects are visible to the naked eye, and they can make a penny that would otherwise be common into something incredibly valuable. But here's the kicker, many people who own these error pennies don't even know it. That's right. These coins are out there in change jars, drawers, and old coin albums, quietly waiting to be discovered. There's also another factor that collectors pay attention to: metal composition. In 1971, the standard penny was made primarily of copper. But in very rare cases, transitional errors occurred. If a coin was struck on a leftover planchet from a previous year or from a different denomination, it could result in a unique coin with the wrong metal makeup. These wrong planchet errors are extremely rare and extremely desirable. So if you happen to come across a 1971 penny that feels just a bit different, looks slightly off, or has a strange sheen, don't dismiss it. You might be looking at a mistake worth a fortune now. What can you do if you think you have one of these rare 1971 pennies? First, handle it carefully. Never clean or polish it, doing so can actually reduce its value. Instead, place it in a soft holder or coin flip to keep it safe. Next, get it evaluated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These experts can tell you exactly what you have and how rare it truly is. And finally, if you've been waiting to find out just how much one of these tiny treasures could actually be worth, here it is. 1 Rare 1971 Lincoln penny, struck with a remarkable mint error and preserved in stunning, uncirculated condition, was sold at auction for an incredible sum of $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. 1 cent worth $80,000. It's a reminder that sometimes the most valuable things in life are the ones we overlook. That little penny sitting quietly in your change bowl could be the key to your next big discovery. So take a closer look, you might just strike gold and copper. Thanks for joining us today on this incredible journey through the story of the 1971 Lincoln penny. If you enjoyed this video and want to uncover more rare and valuable coins hiding in plain sight, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a single discovery. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and remember, treasure is often found in the most unexpected places.